Hi guys, it's Wolfsky again. Welcome to another airsoft upgrade video. Today on the Ares Amoeba Striker we're going to be upgrading the cylinder basically, and we're going to be upgrading it to the CPSB-02 silver cylinder. This is a steel cylinder with a steel cylinder head, has a bearing spring guide, upgraded piston with steel rear section, and an upgraded spring of 400 FPS, or rated thereabouts. Now we're going to start dismantling the rifle. So you've got to take the pin out here, which will then release the cylinder. As you know, on the Striker you get the load indicator, and that is part of the pin. So you can see the cylinder can sometimes stick in a bit, but this is the stock cylinder in there, and you can already see the wear on the cylinder. A lot of people just buff off that metal, that black paint, which you can do, and it will turn out that sort of copper gold effect. That will help it run better. But you know, it's still probably better just to upgrade this cylinder, I feel, just as it's going to give us more power. First off, what we need to do here is we need to remove the handle, the bolt handle basically. So you just do that here, take out that little screw. Now watch out here, because I didn't realise there's a tiny little spring and a tiny little ball bearing. So do not lose that, do it over somewhere. See, there's the ball bearing. Well, sorry about the video here guys, I forgot to put the camera in autofocus. Here's the cylinders side by side. Now reassembling. This part is pretty self-explanatory on how to take apart and how to put that together again. You've just got to be aware that there is a tiny little spring in there and that tiny little ball bearing. It does have a little resting hole there, which you just need to put it into. It all just locks back together and then is held together with that final screw. There we go, all working again, all back together. So as you can see, I've stripped the rest of the gun down here, and I cleaned it out basically because it was full of sort of filings from where the old cylinder and everything had been wearing down. So I took it all apart to, you know, the whole receiver part there. That's the plastic insert that goes inside, and just cleaned everything up. So hopefully we'll start off afresh. Cylinder obviously just lines up and in. So here is me putting the pin back in. So our stand-up inner barrel and our hop up there going in. That just literally feeds itself in there, nice snug fit. Then the loading bolt, as I'm going to call it, goes in there and holds the hop up in place. You do want to be careful with this, you don't want to mark it at all with a screwdriver or anything, because that does have BBs going through it, and you don't want to damage the sides or anything so that the BBs can catch on or anything. So you just want to be careful with that. Make sure it's in right. Obviously also make sure you've got your hop up in the right way around as well, so that when you put your hop up adjustment screw through the top, that it's actually resting on top of the bucking, so that it will adjust your hop up. But if you're getting this screw in right, then you can't actually mess up, because that actually feeds into the hop-up unit. Now on with the outer barrel. Now I don't know if you're going to catch it on the video, but there is a tiny little arrow mark around on that outer barrel, and that has to line up with basically the top of the receiver. If you own a striker, you'll immediately see what I mean. And they just line up, and then you know you've got your outer barrel in the right position to do everything else. Now we're just putting the rest of the gun body parts back on, just to make sure that we can test the rifle, see if it's still functioning as it should be. Or hopefully better with the new cylinder. Okay, so let's give it a test. Now you see I'm having real trouble there pulling the bolt back. It's just not catching. And this has the 90-degree sear upgrade as well. There's something wrong here, and we're going to find out soon what it is.
Houston, we have a problem.
So here guys, you can see that the load indicator pin, or the whole pin that holds the cylinder in place as well, is actually wearing down. The cylinder's actually biting in and basically eating away at this pin. Now I did try sanding down one side, trying to make it a bit flatter, you know, just trying to get, but it's just not working. You know, we're going to have to get something else basically. After a bit more research, really everybody does recommend buying the cylinder and the upgraded pin. Here it is, the steel cylinder locking pin. So you get this nice little box, and basically that's your new locking pin. It actually screws from both sides, it doesn't just push in, so you can lock it in place with Allen, but that middle part there actually spins as well, and you get a spare. So here we go, now we're going to fit the new locking pin in, and go from there. In retrospect, I should have fitted this pin with the body part of the striker removed. It makes it to be fitted a lot easier because the body does cover over that hole slightly. So I just loosened off the screw at the bottom, and then it gave me enough wiggle room to get that bolt in there. So here we go, test 2 with the new locking pin, and everything seems to be performing very well now. So in testing our FPS with 0.2 BBs, we're getting around the 400 mark at the minute. Now I do have plans to upgrade the inner barrel and the hop-up unit, so hopefully when all those major parts are upgraded, because they will all work in unison to get more FPS, we'll see some higher FPS rates basically. Just some final thoughts on the cylinder upgrade. I was finding the stock cylinder to be quite tough to pull on. I am finding it a lot easier now to pull with the upgraded cylinder. It just seems to work a lot better, a lot smoother. But as we know, it's only about halfway upgraded. We've still got the hop-up unit and the inner barrel to do. So see you in the next video guys. Thanks for watching.